Hello, before we begin today's video, can you please like, share, and subscribe to the channel because it actually helps expand the wonderful knowledge of NY and JPA weather and helps yours truly. So I really would appreciate it. So thank you, and as always, stay safe out there. Now let's get to today's video. Good morning. Welcome to the day before Thanksgiving, one of the busiest travel days of the year. And while we are getting ready for that, a lot of changes are starting to unfold in the atmosphere. The models are starting to catch up, but you premium members, you guys know that this has been on the way for quite some time. We'll talk about this more in a live chat tonight. Of course, thank you to everyone for following and, of course, watching this. So let's get into some interesting data. Now, right now, we have the water vapor satellite picture. The atmosphere is starting to evolve and change. And the first step is this upper level low that will be driving a polar and some aspects of a little bit of Arctic air into the eastern United States. In the meantime, we're going to have to deal with some scattered showers. But let's take a step back and take a look at all the factors involving here. We're starting to see our La Nina has peaked and getting ready to fall off. In fact, the SOI values are starting to set up that decline, getting ready as we're waiting for the MJO to move from our phase 6, which we're in now, and heading towards phase 7. Once it hits phase 7, watch for the La Nina statistics to take a nosedive. All the model guidance is showing this, but more importantly, it makes physical sense. As you have the negative IOD, that's very cold water in portions of the eastern Indian Ocean, you have an environment set up to drive your MJO into phase 7, eventually into phase 8. And there is some very strong guidance here of possibly getting all the way into phase 1 by the time we get to late December. So, what does this typically mean for us? Well, what this typically does in the tropical forcing is that it sets the stage to crush the Southeast Ridge, which model guidance, both European, the GFS, even your vaunted AI models, all were really touting this idea of a strong Southeast Ridge. And as you know, especially premium members, we've been going over the pattern and how I think it's going to evolve. There was going to be a weak Southeast Ridge, but not this powerful one, because we don't have a powerful La Nina. We don't even have powerful forcing in the MJO to support that. So once the model guidance got better data, even though we could see it, everything started cascading. And those that just follow the models, well, they're all left surprised. Those who were developing meteorological reasoning into the forecast were not. So you know who was who. And there's a lot of other great meteorologists who also saw this coming a mile away. So we're starting to see the changes, but more importantly, I've been bringing this up quite a bit in the premium video, so I wanted to bring it up in the premium public video today, is that we're seeing that cold pool that a lot of people are pointing out like, oh, look, this is going to destroy the winter forecast. Nope. It's moderating very, very, very quickly because we're starting to see that shift back to the weather pattern that we were all talking about back in October. Like, okay, all these factors are coming together. We'll see a redevelopment. And as you get your 500 millibar heights to build in the Gulf of Alaska, this cold pool, which is driven by a trough in the Gulf of Alaska, will give way. And so that is what we're starting to see. And so the sea surface temperatures in this environment, okay, there are no hard rules in meteorology. You have to look at how everything's working together. In this environment, the sea surface temperatures are both a reactive element and also somewhat of a driver. This aspect is the driver. This aspect is the driver for what we're seeing now, but it's also reacting to what's going on in the stratosphere. And so this is set up to decline. You're going to see over the next couple of weeks, this is going to collapse. You're going to see, not completely, it's not like we're going to El Nino or anything like that. We're going to a cold neutral state, but the MJO is going to be king, okay?
And you can see the cold water is getting ready to build from the Indian Ocean, getting ready to drive into our neck of the woods and basically set up the environment that we've been following for quite some time. So all of this is playing out. The Atlantic is set up for a feedback of the negative NAO pattern. Once it is connected at 500 millibars, then you're going to see this feedback starting to evolve. And we'll see that in December. Even though the model guidance isn't catching it just yet, it will. So you're seeing all of that coming together. And of course, everyone's talking about the stratosphere. Just wanted to go over this again, just so we all know as we get ready to have our turkey for Thanksgiving, the polar vortex will be going into, well, basically get slapped big time. It's already been severely weakened. It's about to get slapped again. Okay, and you can see that with the EP flux here. Your warm air at the mid-latitudes in the troposphere being transported up into the stratosphere. Again, you can see that in another way right here. There's the warming starting to build, starting to develop, getting ready to spread out and dominate. And of course, the model guidance is showing that as well. And this is all driven with our QBO, which is in the easterly phase. Yes, we're moving into a west descending. This takes a long time, so don't worry. This is next year's QBO state. Okay, so kind of give you an idea how long this takes. So we're in an easterly QBO influence. And so there's no surprise now that model guidance, again, up to this point, is pretty well convinced, right? It is pretty well supported. You get a little bit of a burst right now that we're starting to see right now after a significant weakening. Then this is where, right around when you're looking for the Thanksgiving leftovers on Friday and Saturday, this is where we're going to see the potential for that wind reversal. And now it's nearly at 100% for a wind reversal of the polar vortex, which basically breaks everything up, all right, and sets yourself up for a cold December. Okay, so now everything's starting to catch up to that. But a lot of people are saying, oh, well, this is going to go back towards neutral. This is going to rebound. Well, yeah, it is. That's the nature of the physics of this whole environment, this whole process. But I submit to you that we have not seen our last stratospheric warming event. So I didn't buy the idea that this is going to go right to neutral and get strong or anything of that nature. And you're already starting to see the model guidance splitting here. And what you have here are two themes. One, it moderates back to a weak polar vortex, consolidates a bit, and then gets hit with another stratospheric warming event, which is what you're seeing here. Or it kind of meanders back towards neutral, but even then, there's signs here of another one. This is complete noise out here, okay? But the overall theme is weak. This is something that's just starting to show up because now we're starting to get a little bit more observational data, and the model guidance and AI and all that stuff is starting to calculate that out, and they're saying, well, wait a minute, we've seen this before. It's the same forcing parameters, the same environment that got us to this point. Okay, the environment isn't changing, so why would we see only one stratospheric warming event? Why would we only see one disruption? It would feed back on itself. It would continue to happen. So we're starting to see this signal starting to show up now. Don't be surprised if this gets a stronger signal over the next 10 days, okay, where we get another weakening shot, which would extend us into January of seeing some rather interesting weather. So that is all playing out. And while that is all playing out, you're seeing the shifts in our data. Here is the stratospheric winds, all right, and notice that the winds are transporting everything from the Siberia right into North America as we move forward. And that's at 50 millibars. And granted, it's pretty high up in the atmosphere, not direct impact to us, but it sets the stage for the rest of the 500 millibar pattern, which we're starting to see that all take shape. And here is the standardized operational European guidance, kind of playing things out, getting things pretty interesting. This setup here, this would be your somewhat of a positive TNH pattern that we talk about a lot in the winter forecast, where you get storms developing out here and just running right into the mid-Atlantic. You got your negative NAO, so you get a nice high pressure system here. The AI guidance, if you want to see that, we can pull that up and bam. I mean, we'll go to 0Z to match it up. And you can see, again, the same type of theme here. Again, you don't take anything here verbatim, but you kind of get the same theme. Very blockish pattern, a lot of activity, a lot of short waves interacting. The ability to drive. See, like, this is kind of funky. Like, I know the whole thing with AI, everyone's getting all excited. This right here is like, yeah, go back to the drawing shop there, Terminator. This is way too thin here and way too short here of a wavelength in this environment. So you probably want to make this a little bit broader, but you get the overall idea here. The idea here is that you're going to have building 500 millibar heights here, falling 500 millibar heights here, transport of polar and Arctic air here, storms possible. There's no need to go into detail on that because you can't. You just can't. And if you want to do, I like using the ensembles in this situation because, again, you can kind of see the whole environment play out here in the ensembles average, and you kind of get the overall theme here. You got a broad trough and a lot of potential. This is not necessarily a blockbuster winter storm type pattern. This is more of a pesky, frequent, moderate, light to moderate winter storm type threats. Could you get a major winter storm out of this type of pattern heading into the first 10, 12 days of December? You could, but I think more for the interior, like New England, and everything would have to basically thread the needle and work out just right, which takes us to our forecast. So let's look at the observations. Right now, cold front is approaching, and we got a warm front out here, cold front off to the west. Nice southerly flow. We had some pretty good rainfall last night. Now we have scattered showers around the region. There's low clouds, fog, of course, one of the busiest travel days of the year. It's going to be a mess at the airports because of the showers and the low clouds and the fog. There's going to be some delays because of that. Driving wise, should be okay. Just take some time. Don't try to drive too fast because you don't want to hydroplane. And we're going to have these scattered showers hanging around the region throughout much of the morning and into the afternoon as a series of cold fronts swing on through. This one is the one with the real punch of the polar air that will be invading this evening. And by tomorrow, as you get ready for the Macy's Day Parade, if you're heading out for that, you're going to need a coat, a heavy coat, because not only will temperatures be in the 30s, but it also will be windy. So there's your wind chill. Okay, so you want to definitely bundle up for that. When we take a look at the infrared satellite picture, there again, here's our cold front, one wave coming through in the subtropical. Here comes the polar jet stream. Here comes the polar air. More short waves on the way, making things more interesting as we move on forward. At 500 millibars, just want to show you this. Now, as this upper level low lifts through the St. Lawrence River Valley for tonight, is going to drive that polar air in and also set up your lake effect snow machine. So this opens up the threat for tomorrow and also for Friday for a few flurries, possibly some scattered snow showers in the Poconos and Catskills. But also in this environment, you're going to have colder air coming in, mixing down these strong 850 millibar winds. That's why tomorrow and also Friday afternoon, when we're maximizing the mixing in the atmosphere, you're going to have wind gusts possibly pushing up to 40 miles per hour. Most locations between 25 and 35, but a few locations around 40 miles per hour because of that environment. Then we get to our wintry, interesting setup here. Okay, now I am not going into specific details, but we've seen the GFS, the European, even the UK Met. Okay, all these are models, but let's take a step back and look at what environment we're dealing with. We don't really have much of a ridge out here in the west, so this is going to be difficult to be an amplified feature. This is driven by a subtropical shortwave in the subtropical jet stream interacting with the polar jet stream, with cold air invading and then kind of wavering. Whenever you have cold air trying to invade a location, it's hard to pull off a snow event on the coastal plain. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Everything works out just right. But more than likely, you're dealing with interior snow, maybe a little bit of wintry mix changing over to rain on the coast. And also, this is a fast-moving system, so maybe a 6-hour event, maybe, if that. as this is really rocketing through. Again, this is part of the whole evolution of our pattern that we're heading towards. So, we're at this point, we're in early December. It's really hard to pull off a snowfall event on the coastal plain because none of the coastal waters, it just climatologically, it's pretty low to pull that off. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Again, if you really looking for snow, you're going to have to really pull this off just right. And that's really difficult to do without a potential ridge over the Rockies because it makes everything far too progressive. In the meantime, I do want to show the cold air invading tonight. Okay, and the reason why that's important, it's going to cause our temperatures to cascade. But you see how cold it is aloft for tomorrow and also for Friday? That's where I'm talking about that mixing. This, of course, supports the potential for lake effect snow showers. I'm not expecting much in the way of any type of accumulation. A few flurries here and there and make it really festive and nice while you're running around at the mall or whatever you might be doing on Friday. But this environment sets up your potential for mixing down your winds. And then we jump to next week. And again, you have cold air trying to rush in. Kind of gets in there, gets driven out as a low pressure system because you don't have the strongest high pressure system. And then cold air works its way back in. So again, you could make the case that this stays down the coastal plain. There's a lot of potential here working in here. You really have to thread the needle. What I mean by that is that you need the timing of the cold air, the location of the low pressure system, and all that to come together to set up frozen precipitation on the coastal plain. It can be done, but it's very difficult to pull off. I wouldn't trust any snow maps or anything of that nature at this time, this far out on any of this data. Probably when we get under 120 hours in this forecast, which will probably be on Friday, where we can start to maybe play a little bit more into details. We can start to make preliminary impact maps and stuff like that. So that means that, again, just want to show the wind gusts here. That means we're going to have some work to do over the Thanksgiving holiday. At least I will. So taking a look at that wind gust potential for tomorrow and again on Friday. Just kind of want to illustrate that really nicely. Like, hey, look, just be prepared. I'm not so much worried about power outages and down trees. But definitely if you're out and about, you definitely want to dress up because you're definitely going to be dealing with wind chills in the 20s and 30s as a result of these wind gusts. And yeah, there could be a down tree or power outage, but it's going to be limited. So let's dive into this forecast for today. Did I say happy Thanksgiving? Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, so cold front is approaching. Today is literally one of the warmest days that we're going to see in quite some time. Okay, temperatures are ranging in the mid to upper 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the I-95 corridor, and upper 50s to lower 60s along the coast. Look for scattered showers and breezy conditions. For tonight, the cold front moves through, a few lingering showers followed by clearing skies. Temperatures will plummet by tomorrow morning with winds increasing from the west around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Low temperatures in the upper 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior, mid to upper 30s along the coast. Tomorrow afternoon, as you are dining on turkey, watching football, and possibly having arguments with family members, temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, lower to mid 40s along the coast, with the winds making it feel more like the upper 20s to mid 30s. So definitely be prepared for that if you are heading out. On Thanksgiving night into Friday morning, winds remain at 10 to 20 miles per hour with some gusts, at times over 25 miles per hour. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. For Friday afternoon, sky cloud cover again with that lake effect snow going. There's a chance here for a few flurries around the region, maybe a brief snow shower in the Poconos or Catskills. Not expecting any type of accumulation because temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Saturday, high pressure and control, very quiet day, good day to go out and do whatever you might want to be doing. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Sunday, a low pressure system will approach with increasing cloud cover on Sunday morning with low temperatures in the upper 20s to lower 30s throughout the region. It's really important because the cold air is going to be in place ahead of the precipitation, but then is driven out in time. Now, there is potential here for some wintry mix we're going to keep an eye on Sunday afternoon, especially over the Poconos and Catskills, that will gradually change over to rain as our cold front approaches. Look for high temperatures on Sunday to range from the lower, mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, lower to mid 40s in the New York City metro, and upper 40s to mid 50s in the Philadelphia metro. We're going to watch this very, very carefully to see if we have a little bit more wintry mix mess here on Sunday. That's going to be a bit of a pain. Now, on Monday, as we all get back to our regularly scheduled programming, high pressure will be in control with scattered cloud cover. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, lower to mid 30s along the coast. High temperatures in the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Tuesday, our low pressure system approaches. This looks a little bit too fast, but let's just say that this starts out with scattered snow showers, and we see some sort of wintry mix changing over to rain. You see some snow over the interior. Tuesday evening is going to be a real mixed mess here. You see the rain here. Other mild guides, it's colder with this being snow, gradually changing over to wintry mix. There's a lot we don't know here, okay? So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. Look for temperatures on Tuesday to range from the lower to mid 20s over the northern interior, mid to upper 20s along the coast. High temperatures in the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, mid to upper 30s along the coast. And then on Wednesday, with our low pressure system pulling away, a wintry mix mess in the morning, giving way to scattered cloud cover in the afternoon. Look for low temperatures in the upper 20s to lower 30s over the northern interior, mid to upper 30s along the coast, and high temperatures in the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior and upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. So we'll be keeping an eye on this development throughout the weekend with text updates and videos if necessary. That is your forecast discussion for today. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and as always, stay safe out there.
Thank you for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. But if you want to help the channel out even more, and myself, of course, you might want to check out Premium Consulting Membership, which provides amazing content and information that you get beyond the daily video that you see Monday through Friday. So what do you get? Well, you get updates every day in the Premium Dashboard, starting with, of course, checking out the latest winter forecasts or other seasonal forecasts throughout the year. Live coverage room where you can ask me questions live, and I respond usually within a few minutes. Also, the latest holiday updates, how the weather will impact that upcoming holiday. If you are into landscaping or you work in landscaping, should I say, you will get the latest details on whether or not rainfall will be a threat and impact your job. And of course, there is all the other content. The zoomed in impact map, the severe threat analysis, long range thoughts, the premium consulting video, and also energy analysis, seasonal analysis, additional analysis when the storms get really tricky, winter storm overviews, and when the tropics gets really active, all of the updates, including the individual storms and the overview as well. And if you're a business owner, we also have a specific impact forecast for you guys as well, your own weather map. So let's take a look at the prices. Pretty fair. $15 a month gets you all this information. If you're looking for a little bit of a discount, you can also have a yearly at $150 and quarterly at $60. And also, for all of you business owners out there, you have the ability to get your own web page, your own consulting analysis based on what you need every day in the morning, updated Monday through Sunday without any delay. And of course, you can call me up as well and have that one-on-one consultation. So all this and more at NY and JPA Weather. Thank you as always for being a subscriber and watching the videos. But if you're looking for a little bit more, this would definitely be one of the ways to do so. So, in the meantime, stay safe out there.